Have you ever looked at your partner and thought, is this it? Is this how marriage is supposed to feel? If you've been feeling stuck, drained, or just off in your relationship, you're not alone. I'm Michael Flynn, and welcome to Relationship Reset Academy. I've spent over 10 years helping couples navigate love, connection, and yes, those tough moments when something just isn't working. Today, we're diving into the clear signs that you might be unhappy in your marriage, even if you haven't fully admitted it to yourself yet. And trust me, some of these signs might surprise you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and what these feelings really mean, so you can stop second-guessing and start making decisions that lead to a healthier, happier future. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos every week to help you build a stronger, healthier relationship. And if this topic hits home, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Alright, let's get into it. Here are the signs you need to watch out for. Sign number 1. You feel more like roommates than a couple. Look, every marriage has its ups and downs. You're not going to feel madly in love every single day. But if your relationship has started to feel like a business arrangement, that's a sign something's off. Ask yourself this: do you still look forward to spending time together? Or does it feel more like an obligation? Maybe conversations have become short and transactional. Did you take out the trash? What's for dinner? Did you pay the bills? And the deeper, meaningful talks? Nowhere to be found. It's not just about the words either. Think about the little things that used to happen naturally: holding hands, playful teasing, sending each other flirty texts. If those have completely disappeared, you're not just dealing with a rough patch. You're dealing with a disconnect. And let's talk about the silence. If sitting in the same room feels awkward, or you're both scrolling on your phones more than talking, that's a clue that emotional intimacy has taken a hit. A happy marriage isn't about talking all the time, but when the comfortable silence turns into avoidance, that's a problem. This kind of emotional distance doesn't fix itself. The good news? You can rebuild the bond, but you have to be aware of the issue first. Sign number 2, you're happier when you're apart. Needing space in a relationship is normal. Everyone has hobbies, friends, and personal interests. That's healthy. But when being away from your spouse starts feeling better than being together, that's when you need to pay attention. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly at ease in your partner's presence? If the idea of a solo trip, a long work shift, or even just staying late at the grocery store brings you more relief than coming home, that's not just needing alone time. That's avoiding the relationship. Maybe you find yourself choosing distractions over quality time. Binge watching TV, spending extra hours at work, diving into hobbies, not because you're passionate about them, but because it keeps you occupied. It stops you from thinking about the lack of connection in your marriage. Or maybe, when you do have time together, you zone out. You're physically there, but mentally? You're checked out. You listen just enough to nod at the right moments, but deep down, you're not engaged anymore. Sign number 3, conversations feel forced, or non-existent. You know that awkward feeling when you're in an elevator with a stranger, and neither of you knows what to say. If that's what conversations with your spouse have started to feel like, we've got a problem. Marriage isn't just about living under the same roof, it's about sharing a life. And a big part of that is communication. Not just the, "Hey, how was your day?" kind, but the deep, meaningful, "let's talk about anything and everything" kind. If your conversations have been reduced to one-word answers or transactional exchanges, that's a sign something's off. Maybe it's not even that you're arguing. Maybe you just don't talk much anymore. The silence has become normal. And here's the tricky part: sometimes, that silence isn't uncomfortable, it's just there. You've both gotten so used to it that you don't even notice it anymore. But think about it. When was the last time you had a real, genuine conversation? When was the last time you shared something personal, vulnerable, or exciting with each other? If you can't remember, it's time to ask yourself why. A strong marriage isn't just about being together, it's about feeling connected. And connection requires communication. If you're struggling to even find things to talk about, that's a clear indicator that emotional distance has crept in. If you're looking for ways to turn this around and bring real conversation back into your marriage, you'll definitely want to check out romancedictionary.com/marriage. It has the exact steps couples use to get past this roadblock. The link is in the pop-up here and in the description below. Sign number 4. Every little thing annoys you. Love makes us tolerant. When you're happy, you barely notice the little quirks. Maybe your spouse has a weird laugh, leaves their socks everywhere, or chews a little too loud. No big deal, right? But when resentment creeps in, suddenly, those small things feel huge. The way they load the dishwasher wrong? Infuriating. The way they hum while they eat? Unbearable. The way they tell the same story for the millionth time? You'd rather listen to nails on a chalkboard. Here's the thing, it's not really about the socks, the chewing, or the bad storytelling. It's about what's happening underneath. When you're unhappy in your marriage, you start noticing every tiny flaw, because deep down, you feel disconnected. And let's be honest, when you're in love, those little quirks can be endearing. But when frustration replaces affection, those same things become irritations you just can't shake. It's like your patience is on low battery mode, and everything they do drains it even more. If every interaction feels like a test of endurance, it's time to take a step back and ask yourself, why? What's really bothering you? Because when you get to the root of it, you might realize it's not about the dishwasher, it's about the emotional gap that's been growing between you. Sign number 5, you feel alone. Even when they're right next to you. There's a kind of loneliness that comes from not having someone. And then there's the kind of loneliness that comes from being with someone but still feeling completely unseen. The second one? That's the loneliest of all. You might sit on the same couch, sleep in the same bed, eat at the same dinner table, but emotionally, it's like there's a wall between you. You could reach out and touch them, but somehow, they feel miles away. This kind of emotional disconnection doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually. Maybe it started with small things, less eye contact, shorter conversations, fewer affectionate gestures. But over time, those little things add up until one day, you realize that the person who once felt like your safe space now feels like a stranger. Feeling unseen in your marriage is painful. It's frustrating. And most of all, it's exhausting. You shouldn't have to beg for attention, affection, or effort. A marriage should be a partnership, not a one-sided effort to keep the connection alive. Sign number 6, you daydream about a different life, a lot. Everyone has fleeting thoughts from time to time. What if I had made a different choice? What if I had done things differently? That's normal. But when those thoughts start to take over? When you find yourself constantly fantasizing about being single, starting over, or even being with someone else, that's a sign that deep down, something isn't right. Maybe you daydream about traveling alone, living in your own space, or having the freedom to make decisions without considering someone else. Or maybe you think about what it would be like to be with someone who really understands you, who makes you feel alive again. The truth is, happy people don't spend all their time imagining a different reality. When your relationship is fulfilling, you don't feel the need to escape from it in your mind. Daydreams like these don't mean your marriage is doomed, but they do mean you need to take a hard look at what's missing. Because ignoring those thoughts won't make them go away. So, if any of these signs hit home, don't panic, but don't ignore them either. The worst thing you can do is pretend everything's fine when deep down, you know it isn't. Start making small changes today. Spark conversations. Prioritize connection. And if you need a step-by-step roadmap to turning things around, check out romancedictionary.com/marriage. The link is in the pop-up here and in the description below. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt stuck in your marriage? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And before you go, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell, so you don't miss my next video. I've got a lot more coming to help you build the relationship you actually want. See you in the next one.